Welcome back to Tactical Pontoon. It's me, James, and we are here in the illustrious Trigger Cave, and we're going to be talking about something that should have happened a bit earlier. And what is that? Well, Lenny and the guys over at Glockstore, they got busy and they created the Black Ice connector, Black Ice 3.0 connector, double diamond. So, lots of words here. Let's back it up. Let's see if they can back it up, because we all know I'm not really a gigantic fan of Lenny and the Glockstore. Always found their stuff to be a bit overpriced and a bit gaudy. So let's talk about it for a moment. When this first came out, and that's been several months ago, and I must say, meant to do this a little while ago, but I did get busy. Things got a little crazy. So, what is the Black Ice, or actually as it's now called, the Black YIKES? And I think they're actually going to stick with that, which is, I guess from a marketing standpoint, kind of works. It's the Black YIKES. It works. Oh my God. What was I expecting from the Black YIKES? Well, in all reality, if you watch my other video on the Glockstore Double Diamond, which I have right here, you'll know that I considered it actually one of the smoother, lightest connectors that I have messed with, but the level or lack of craftsmanship on this connector just kind of turned me off. That just is, it's horrendous. It's just ugly. I can't recommend this, especially in anything that you might need to rely on. Maybe a competition gun, but it's not something I would rely on. And if I was going to use one, I would definitely do some cleaning up of the really harsh manufacturing lines so that it doesn't have so many stress risers. I mean, it is just a connector, but it's just the way I go. This guy, the standard double diamond, is MP3 coated, runs $24.95. A little bit pricey for a connector, especially one of such good performance, low quality. All right. Well, what I expected from the Black Ice was a black double diamond. I thought, Lenny kind of took a connector with the normal double diamond. He did the flavor of the day at the time, MP3, nickel Teflon, coated it, and it's smooth. It works. I figured, hey, we're talking the Orange Man. He probably went and took a standard double diamond, had it coated in the new flavor of the day, which would be DLC, and voila, you got the Black Ice new product. Charge $29.95, make an extra $5. But when it arrived, it's not what I found. I was surprised. So let's take a look. Let's take a look up close. This is the Black Ice. Now, let's talk about this armor lube coating, is what it's called on the package. That does not look like DLC. It just seems too matte of a finish for DLC. And also, if you look, I'm going to try to... Okay. Up on the tab that rides the reset ramp, you'll notice that it's already coming off. You can see how shiny that is. So if it's DLC, it's really not a good application of it, because I've not fired this gun. I literally have dry fired it and racked the slide multiple times, and the finish is already coming off. So as for what type of armor lube finish this is, I don't know. But that being said, this connector has a far better finish craftsmanship wise than the standard double diamond. I don't know if they changed manufacturers. While there are many similarities between them, it just has a better overall finish. It's not perfect. I would not put it up against, say, like Ghost, who has probably one of the best, their connectors next to a standard Glock connector. They do a really good job of finishing their connectors. This one still has some lines on it. Like, for example, on the ledge here that your trigger bar actually rides on, it's still, yeah, you can kind of see it right there. It still has a cut mark. And while we're talking about the ledge right here, that ledge is one of the more important parts of a connector. Depending on the angle of that ledge is going to determine the weight and even the length of pull before your trigger breaks. So while I expected it to be the same as the standard double diamond, it's actually not. Just to kind of give you a reference, the standard double diamond comes in at 78 degrees. Anything less than 90 degrees is going to be better. 90 degrees is going to be really harsh. It's going to drop that striker fairly quickly, but it's going to be really harsh. Now, the black YIKES actually comes in at 75 degrees. So a few degrees even easier on the trigger bar. So it's going to drop perhaps a little bit longer, but it is going to be a lighter trigger pull. Now, for example, I told you that the double diamond is at 78. Just to give you an idea, an unmarked Glock connector is actually right at 90 degrees. The Glock dot connector is at right around 84 degrees. So as you can see, that is a lot narrower. So it should drop that trigger bar and that sear or cruciform down easier, reducing the weight. So it is not the same as the double diamond. It is actually a different connector altogether. The craftsmanship is better. The coating, we'll have to see if it wears in, but for what I would consider a traditional style connector, it actually has, out of all the ones I have here on my notes, it has the mildest angle. So it is a light connector. When I put it in my Glock 31 Generation 3 with a Combat Spartan trigger, I was actually getting trigger pulls right at 3 pounds. A little bit under, a little bit over, depending on, each pull is just a little bit different. So I was getting right around 3 pounds. Now, that being said, and I want to stress this because you're probably not going to see 3 pounds. It's going to depend on your setup. If you're throwing this in just a bone stock Glock, you're going to see something different. To give you an idea of what type of range that this is going to reduce, when I put a Glock blank connector, the standard Generation 3 Glock connector, in that same gun, I was pulling about 4.5 pounds. So the Black Ice consistently dropped 1.5 pounds off the factory trigger, or from the unmarked connector to the black YIKES. It also had a 30 thousandths quicker reset compared to the Glock blank connector. Now I could show you that. I could put it in a frame and do the marks and all that stuff, but there are other reviewers that can do that sort of thing. I'm just giving you kind of the meat and potatoes of this connector. So that being said, would I recommend the black YIKES connector. At $29.95, I would say if you're building a competition gun, a range toy, something like that, I really don't recommend this for a carry gun. It's light. It can be done, you know, whatever is your delight, go for it. It's in your hands. But I see this more of a competition style connector, and I would definitely recommend it over the double diamond. $29.95 is not a bad price. It is, you know, obviously it's double the price of a Glock 3 or a Ghost 3.5 pound basic connector, or I believe the $15 for a Zev Pro. If you're looking for a competition connector, this is actually pretty good. It does have a quicker reset. It's not the quickest reset out there, but it does have a good reset. It does have, in a tuned gun, it does have a nice, you know, I still feel it having a defined wall, but not overly so. So good. It's a good connector. $29.95 is worth it for that connector. Don't even waste your time with the double diamond. If you're gonna go to the Glockstore, the Black Yikes is the way to go. Is it my favorite? Time will tell, but it's probably not going to be. There's still a couple downsides, in my opinion. One of them is I don't think that this coating is gonna last, and while it's probably not playing a big part in the whole deal, you are paying for that coating, because this is not a special connector. This is a pretty traditional style connector with a very good angle that's causing it to have the type of characteristics that it does. The quick reset, that is another thing that you may run into an issue with. I definitely recommend, even though it says drop-in part, no gunsmithing required, when it comes to any of this type of stuff, have yourself a Glock armorer's plate. Check this, because of its design, there you're actually changing where the cruciform is going to ride, especially on reset. So while you may also have the fact that it may not, you may have too much interface between the striker and the cruciform, and it may not drop because of the slower angle, the narrower angle. So you may actually have to adjust your cruciform for that. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, you may actually already have so little striker lug to cruciform interface that when it goes to reset, because of its characteristics, it could go binary. So my suggestion is, when you put this in, while it does say drop in, check it. You need to check it, because you could run into an issue with it. But I mean, you could run into an issue with anything. So maybe that's the one thing to take away from this. Check your shit. So that being said, Black Ice connector, $29.95. Not too bad. Not my favorite, but it's an option. We will catch you later on Tactical Pontoon.